So guys, for sales, there's a lot of new thought around like being very technical in sales. Now it's all about like developing these nuances in your tonality, how it's all about like understanding people and understanding your offer and things like that. So all of these things are like very, very true. But if we look at some of like the best salespeople, entrepreneurs on YouTube, especially like in the past, if we look at Andy Elliott, if we look at Grant Cardone, we see that something that's very important is just the energy you have. And you can understand like all of these like details about body language, tonality, like your offer down to a T. Like if you don't have enough energy and if you don't have like the right energy, you're not gonna sell. So that's my point. It's not just about developing like technicalities. It's about having a good energy, being sharp, being passionate, being exciting. It's not necessarily like about being a clown, because that people notice it when it's not genuine. But Grant Cardone recently made a video about like how it's all about energy. Like if you want to sell more, you want to have more energy. Like if you want to move from the back of the room to the front of the room, you need to have more energy. So that's what I'm doing right now in my life. Just want to have more energy, because like you could sit in your room the entire day and analyze and think about like all of these sad things. That's no point. At the end of the day, you want to be able to operate, especially like in sales. Like for me, I think one problem I have is I get just way too in my head about things. And like I said, like you just need to stop thinking and just take action. So that's the way, like Grant Cardone said, you want to move from the back of the room to the front of the room. You need to have more energy. And I think it's not just about like being sharp, because that is part of it, but it's also about having the energy to a point where it's like a long-term, like sustainable, good pace that you can sustain. Because it's no use if you are like sharp one day, then you fall back the other day. Like you want to have good energy and you want to be able to maintain that for several days, for several weeks, for months, for years. And I'm not saying that you want to suffer. That's not the point. But you want to have your mind to a place where it's like you want to operate and you want to let positive thoughts in, and you ignore things that you protect your energy, you ignore things that don't add to it, right? So as a point of the video, I've made a lot of other videos about trying to find all the nuances and like technicalities, but it doesn't matter if like my delivery is shallow, and if I don't seem very excited, if I don't seem like I'm not there. And the energy like is a lot of things. Like it's not just being like this high volume type of thing, although that's one thing. Other thing is like having just a genuine nice energy, but it's something you want to practice either way, right? You need to practice it, and that's the thing. That's what I'm going to try to do in the next several months. And maybe then once my energy is decent again, maybe then I'm going to look at like the Jeremy Minor stuff, like finding all the technicalities. But I think like it's just, I need to probably take more inspiration from guys like Grant and Andy, because of like the sheer quality and ruthlessness they have as like operators. And I think that's something I want to really project in my own efforts in my own sales and business. So what this means is, yes, speaking a bit louder, just having more energy, making sure your sleep is more important, making sure your food is more important, making sure that the thoughts you have are more important. Because I think at one point I was like doing pretty good with my business, and I was thinking like I was really like motivated and stuff, and I was like, hey, I want to become like this big business guy or whatever. And it was really motivating for me for a while. But then after some time, like I kind of lost that, because it's like, what's really the point? When you look at it, what's really the point of that? I mean, you live one life. Is that really the point of life? To just be the biggest in business? Because like at the end of the day, we all die, right? So it's like, I kind of lost motivation then, but that doesn't mean that we can't operate well, because even though that might be the case, the reality is like you're still alive right now, and you want to probably make like best of your life, right? So I think that's just the best thing you can do. Like you're here anyway, so why not? Why not make a good thing out of it? Why not have energy? Why not operate in the best way? Why not let positive thoughts into your mind? So I think that's like a good thing. And again, if you do the cold calls, sure, it's important to be aware of like psychology and like how humans interact and like all of these things. But if you're not on point, if you're like making the calls and like people feel that you're just tired and you're not motivated, it's like it's not gonna sell, right? And not just that, but you're also gonna like feel like shit. Feel like shit to just doing all these things. So yeah, you just wanna have more energy and feel better. And then like I'm not saying that just because you feel better you're gonna sell, but it's gonna be like a good thing. Also, it means you can do more cold calls, more volume, and you can probably take risks that you otherwise wouldn't do. For example, you can, if you have more energy, you can deal with objections better that you might otherwise don't take into account or you don't reply to. But it's really all about, pushing through the objections, and like not in a bad way, obviously, but at the end of the day, like you still need to have a lot of energy to deal with that. You need to have the right mindset and the right positive thoughts. So again, it's all about energy. It's all about energy. I want to keep that nice. And you just want to make sure when you start your day, you do the calls, you do the meetings, you have the volume, but above that and beyond that, that you also are there, that you are present, that you're enjoying your work, that you're pushing for the gains, that you're pushing for the success. And that sounds like maybe a bit cheesy, but at the end of the day, it's not wrong. It's true, right? So yeah, we got to make a habit out of it. And just going to practice these things, practice working on energy, feeling great, working on my health, working on my food, working on my sleep schedule, making sure I'm doing the calls, making sure I'm handling my own thoughts right, to where when I meet objections, I'm just present and I can handle them and I don't back down. And yeah, this is going to be a practice, but I think it's going to be the way to go. Anyway, guys, this was the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out the next video if you want. I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.